Oh, my fault. Damn. Really be hitting me, and I haven't heard it for a minute, so it's like I'll be like, the people who are listening to the audio have no idea what I'm talking about. It's the countdown music for the StreamYard that we use. It just has this really great countdown music, and it's very simple, but it hits on the level. It hits it touches your heart.
Touches your heart.
It touches your heart, and it warms the mana, the spirit, the soul. That's
Damn Hallmark card.
That's it, man. That's it. Damn that whole network. How do you come from a greeting card to a whole network? Look, that's some. I'm not even mad. I'm like, how did you do that? That's like some world building. That's awesome. Congratulations to you, and just rehashing the same movie for the last 375 years. I mean, congratulations. You built like 2 or 3 networks off of that. I can't even be mad at you. Cool. What have you? Hey, folks, welcome. Welcome to another thrilling episode of the it's been a long day. To the Fandom initiative, where we're going to talk about a lot of the stuff that's going on in geekdom, fandom, movies, series, pretty much anything that's really hitting us like that. And we've got a fun one today. But let's start with the introduction, shall we? Let's start with that, or introduction. Well, I guess there's going to be 2. There's 2 of us here. Whatever. The man across from me. He is. Did my voice crack again? Shit. The man across from me. He is the cinema CEO. He is the cinema god. This is Michael Williams.
What is up, y'all? What is up?
Don't act like y'all don't see that damn beard. You better acknowledge that beard, y'all. You better acknowledge. You better send your tithes, the building fund, all that shit to the beard. Okay. The building fund, damn the building fund. We building this beard up here.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I am here, brother. Myself, I am the hungriest man in the room. And you can take that however you want.
And also the loopiest one in the room right now.
Brother. If you don't know, then you don't know. It's fine. You'll be right. I'm not going to explain to you. Out here. I'm the hungriest man in the room. You can take that however you want. And I think over the last couple of weekends, I have proved that I am the hungriest cat out there by eating and eating and then eating. And then I did some more eating. Basically, yes. I am the hungry bleak, Antonio Pomares. And this is the Fandom Initiative. Welcome so very much for joining us, folks. So, we're going to do today's episode is going to be pretty much just TV and streaming because there's been a lot that has come out. We haven't even scratched the surface on what has come out as far as what's out there. Between all the platforms really have had a lot of stuff coming out. Between actual series, movies, documentaries, even too. Hulu's really been hitting kind of that documentary niche, which is kind of cool. I actually like that. It says we are going to be talking about those. We're going to be talking streaming shows that have hit us, that have come back, we have one new one, which is actually a spinoff, but still new. And then we have 2 returning series. Their sophomore season, and there is no sophomore slump. Shows hit the ground running, which is awesome. So let's start with our first one. This is The Witcher season 2 out of Netflix. Henry Cavill, how you doing, man? Peace. The most aggressive peace sign in the history of peace. We return in season 2. We know the characters from the first season, and this drops us right off pretty much where we ended. Dude, this you need to watch the first season, obviously. Then don't just jump into the second season. Watch the animated movie, which is extremely beautiful, bloody, but it ties into the second season very much and lets you know where you're going to be going. You already know my opinion, man. Yes. Out of 5, I'm giving it 7.5. Whatever. I'm breaking the scale this week. I'm breaking the scale, brother. Yes. Yeah, I was just so happy that this came back. What were your thoughts, brother?
I really liked the second season of The Witcher. I don't know if I was expecting it to. I think part of me felt like it was going to fall off because that first season was so good.
That sophomore slump,
yeah, but fortunately it doesn't, and yeah, I'm in some ways kind of glad that Henry Cavill decided to kind of leave Superman alone, and not because he didn't want to do it. He wanted to. It's just the politics of a certain network is just, or a certain company, I should say, is just not worth your time when you can do other things and kind of bring something to it, that's needed and
challenging
and welcome in this fandom space. And the Witcher season 2 does all of that stuff. We get it. We get like amped action in this season. Really, really good. Really, really good.
And we're introduced to new characters as well. Like the returning characters obviously are there. We have Geralt of Rivia, we have Ciri, we have Yennefer. What's my man's name? Yaxer. What's the bard's name? I can't remember his name. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
But it does great. And characters who were looked at more as minor characters are brought more to like Fringilia.
Yes.
Who is, look at her as like not really the rival, but I think the opposing side of Yennefer. The first episode was great. The first episode, I think, really summed up a lot of what The Witcher is thinking as far as what's a real monster. And that episode reminded me of a more mature Beauty and the Beast. Which is the first thing when I first saw his friend, I was like, is this? And then when he was speaking, and then you find out the end and why he was cursed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it really hit. And then he was like, you know what? You can do it yourself. That episode might actually be my favorite episode, which I think is what happened in the first season too. The first episode was my favorite episode because they did something with sword fighting that I haven't seen with, like more broadswords and stuff like that, where they made it like a dance. Where this episode, there was the action, you got the heart, everything, you got that, but you got this underlying story with his friend, and you find out why he's been cursed. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, so that whole thing about what is really a monster and how man can be the most dangerous of monsters out there. We also got to see the Witchers.
Yes.
The other Witchers that are still out there. There are less than 20. And we get to meet Vesemir. Vesemir, my man. Was Kib Badina. Or Badia, I should say. We get him. We know him very well from Killing Eve.
Yes.
If you haven't checked that out, check that out. Also, you can check it out it might be on BBC, but you also check it out on Hulu. I believe it's still there. And this is the man who trained Geralt and all of the Witchers that are around now, because there aren't very many. Because of, if you watch the animated movie, you find out what happened to the Witchers. There was this bloody massacre. But this huge fight that I think could only have been done animated because of how tragic and yet beautiful it looked in that fight of, we're going to take all of them down, we're not letting them come in. And you get that, and we find out like what he's been doing, how he's older, but Witchers age much slower.
Yes,
they're like hundreds of years old because of the way that they were mutated and changed from human into Witchers. And I loved seeing the different Witchers and how they interacted together, but then also seeing how they interacted when Ciri came there. Geralt's child of surprise, which is what I think we should start calling children that you did not know you were going to have. I think that's a cool. Wow, the doctor just goes, "It's a child surprise," and in true Geralt fashion, you just, fuck.
Yeah.
Roach. It's just So I really. This makes me want to read the books, but I know I'm not going to read the books. I know they're incredibly detailed, and I can't fathom that right now. Kim was welcomed. We're both fans of him from Killing Eve.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of seeing the Witchers and how they reacted to Ciri, and how Ciri ended up wanting to become a Witcher so she could fight monsters?
Yeah, I think that's probably the strength of this season. Like, you know, I think that's the natural kind of thing that you need to do with a show like this, is kind of open it up after that first season, right? And like, I'm going to use your word, your favorite word, world building.
Yes,
this is Class A world building.
You got to give them jazz hands, baby. You got to give them world building.
So, yeah, like, getting to know that, even though, you know, Geralt is probably your main Witcher.
It's my main man right there.
Yeah,
it's my boy.
That there are others that do exist and have grown up with him and probably know him obviously, not even probably, they do know him in a different way than we do, as people who are just kind of like viewing him from the outside. And you know, this whole fact that he brings someone who isn't someone that anybody knows around, and just kind of seeing, you know, what their reactions are to Ciri, and I know a couple of times on the couch when we get to those parts where Ciri is wanting to become a Witcher, and how that's going to happen. You know what I mean? I know there were times that I kind of felt like, does this girl even know what she's doing? like seriously, like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I think that definitely is the strength of season 2. Like, just those parts, the whole interaction between Ciri and Geralt this season is is obviously on another level. You know what I mean? And yeah, I definitely liked it a lot.
Yeah. The other like story beat was Yennefer, who used her magic at the end of season 2. She used fire magic, which is not supposed to be used, and she used it, and she lost her powers.
Yes.
So you see Yennefer not being dependent on her power so much, but being more dependent on her skill, her guile, her intelligence, her cleverness. And I loved seeing that part of her. And then her reunion with Geralt, who Geralt thinks she's dead.
Yes.
And just seeing that whole thing with Yennefer, because I love the no pun intended, the transformation of Yennefer. Because she's still, when she before her transformation into her form now, she was still this very like kind of smart and crafty person, but she wasn't given, unfortunately, the confidence.
Yes.
Because of her outward appearance. So the world, much like it still does, if the world does not think you are attractive, especially for women, if the world does not think you are attractive, they don't give a shit how smart, how clever, how much you have to offer. They just don't give a damn. So you see that she's, if anything, gotten more of a drive, more because she's learned more too, and she's evolved more over this time because it's been years. So you see more of that with her, and I loved seeing that. And then seeing this kind of makeshift family between Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri, and how they're interacting together. And it's almost like this guy who you know, and you're kind of dating, messing with, talking with, what have you, and then all of a sudden you find out, oh yeah, this is my child of surprise. Fuck. And it's just, nobody has done so much with so little saying a word as Henry Cavill has done with that, between the grunts and everything like that, and he does in the first season. I was like, this is the perfect role for him. This is actually, I'm so glad he took this over Superman. It's the exact opposite, two different ends of the spectrum. The thing that I did like about the season though too also is that you see more of the politics between humans, between the elves, and in the movie that's going to be coming up in the next few weeks or so, Blood Origin, you see the very first Witcher being created, and you also see what drove this huge divide between humans and elves, and you see where it comes from. That was very interesting to me to see how they're speaking to each other and how there hasn't been an elf born in years. And this also dealt with a lot of things that unfortunately people go through when they're trying to have children and they're not able to have the to have the child, or if the child is not carried to term. I think that little underlying current there is something that you don't really see in TV stuff like that, or even genre fandom stuff.
It's true.
There were it's just I'm gonna end up rewatching. I've seen the anime movie like 6 times just because I'm in animation right now. But I think this was very good. How many seasons do you think we'll get of this? I have no idea how many books there are, so I don't know how much material they can get from. But how many seasons you think if it's not canceled? Let's caveat. If it's not canceled,
I doubt it'll be canceled. I think it'll be a show that, I mean, this is when you, to me, the way Netflix is approaching the show, this is like one of their flagship shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, when you get season approvals in advance, like we did after the first season, I think didn't they approve second and third? I think
I'm not sure about
second and the third. I thought they did.
I know when they said that they were going to do a second season, then they were talking about the animated movie. That was like, oh, okay, cool. That's when I knew when they did animated movie, I was like, oh, they wouldn't be. But then I also had like flashbacks of what happened to Alter Carbon.
Yeah.
When that got an animated movie, and then it got a second season. But Animated Carbon, they really should have done another season of that instead of putting up those games on Netflix. I don't know why they have games up there now. Is that where my money went? Because I didn't ask for that.
Yeah.
I would have, but I do see them going a little more long term because that animated movie actually links to the second season, and this next movie, live action, links to that one, links to the second season as well, which will probably platform to third.
I mean, I could easily see this going 6 seasons easily, and I think it should, because unfortunately it won't be like another show that I could talk about that will wind up disappointing people, because I don't think it will. I don't think that The Witcher will disappoint anybody. And I also think that there is no real wasted motion in The Witcher. Like, you get what you came for. It's 8. Is it 8? 8 episodes?
I want to say 8 episodes, which again is that magic number. That's number that we keep hitting on.
Yeah, you're getting 8. It doesn't really drag. Although I did see some people complaining about this season. Like, they were saying that they wanted to like it, but it just never went anywhere for them, or didn't go where they wanted it to go.
I think they wanted probably more action, because this season, I mean, not that we didn't have action, but there was more of an emphasis on the politics and Yennefer not having magic. So maybe they thought that dragged, but there's always going to be people that say that stuff. I
mean, I would rather you give me enough action if you're going to balance it off with plot development and character development, right? Because then I feel like you know exactly what you're doing and you have something much bigger planned down the road.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would much less rather you give me 8 full hour action pieces and I don't know anything more about Geralt. I don't know anything more about Ciri. I don't know anything more about Yennefer. Like, that's just, to me, is a waste of time, and that's begging to be canceled, because you can't keep up that kind of momentum with action set pieces. You just can't do it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I could easily see this going 6 seasons. Easily.
And it's funny now how you're saying 6 seasons, and I mean some shows have been on for so much longer. I don't know about anything that's been on that long for social media for streaming platforms though.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what's the longest running.
I don't know.
You know what? It might be what the hell was that show? Because we always forget about Amazon. Amazon has had some long series. They had that show with my man Titus Titus Welliver,
yes.
that dude.
Bosh.
Yes, I think that was that may have been like 7 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
There was another Absentia, I think might be more seasons too. People always forget about Amazon. Amazon just be laying in the cut like, we do more than packages, right? Like we have TV.
Yeah. I mean, I think,
that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing with Netflix here is they need to determine what are our flagship properties and what are the other properties that we might give a couple of season order to these things and we don't really care. You know what I mean? Like they need to at this point make some type of distinction, and part of that is also going to be on the subscriber. Like, you can't complain when they cancel a show if you're not watching it. You know what I mean? Like, they want to see. I mean, and I'm guessing this is what the people, in Los Gatos are saying. When they look at the numbers, they want to see people are at least trying to watch that show when we drop it. You know what I mean? And
because they do show that ranking almost things now, which I kind of enjoy because it lets you know, oh, this is what's trending here. This is what's okay, cool. This is what's hot. This is number 1, number 2 from week to week.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's also about you don't want a show to. It's also about sometimes they don't want shows to wear out their welcome either. Like, if you do I think this show is probably even more of an example of let's just go out with what we have, even though I haven't watched it yet and I do want to. That Lost in Space reboot.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes shorter is better in that situation, right? Like, you tell the story that you need to tell in 3 seasons and that's it. Like, you don't need to go 10 seasons of
Grey's Anatomy.
Sorry,
bro. So I snapped on that one. My bad. I snapped. My bad, Joe.
Yeah, you don't need to go, 10, 15, 18 seasons of, Seattle Grace Hospital and no one gives a flying crap about anybody on the show anymore, right? Like, it's just like
you have to leave the people wanting more. You never overdo it because then you better to go out on top than to have your ratings and such dwindle where it's like you have to it didn't end, it was canceled,
right?
So
and
then we had to make a series finale,
right? And I think streaming offers that unique opportunity that is not that way at network, whereas network says we have a hit, we're gonna wring as much as we can out of this,
milk it,
right? Whereas streaming says, well, hopefully this is the creator who is thinking this way, says, I have a show idea here that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and this is how we're going to get it done, and it's not going to take 10 years to get this told.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
Exactly. And or the other option that we do have is you have a great show, you give it 2 or 3 seasons, then you see there's a popular character in that series who can possibly get another show, and then you make a spinoff, which is what we got with the Book of Boba Fett. Damn, that segue was lit.
There you go. The
boy good. Yeah, the boy good. Ooh, the boy pretty. that boy pretty. Pretty Ricky, what they call it.
He gonna make it do what it do, baby.
That's what I'm gonna make it do what it do, baby. Yeah. All right, now barbecue sauce. So we have that. Now this is obviously part of the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
But then let's go down and let's go to the Mandalorian, which was an out of nowhere hit. So much fun. For new fans, for old fans. and it kind of brought you into like the heyday of like 80s series where you had a character that just traveled around righting wrongs in every town, then leave. But then there became this like central thread in the series. Now we get this, which is the Book of Boba Fett season 1. We're 5 episodes in.
Yeah, the 5th one is this upcoming week.
Oh, this 5th one's right, where we find out where the hell Boba Fett been at. You just popped up, bro. You just popped like, hey, what's so y'all didn't y'all forgot about me, baby? I mean, it's hot in the sand, baby. Y'all don't forgot about me. And when this was announced to be a series, heads blew. Heads blew. And again, there are different ways that you can quote unquote prolong a series, but give it a fresh take. You can have that central thread of the bounty hunter, the Mandalorians. You can have that central thread and tell different stories with different characters. That's what this is. But absolutely love this damn cast. Jeez, I just freaking love this cast. I do. I've started paying more and more attention to casts, which I found are interesting to me. First off, we're getting Tamora Morrison, who plays Boba Fett. We've also saw him in the prequel movies. One of his most famous movies, and if you haven't seen it, please do. If you're okay with having your heart ripped out of your chest and then beaten with said heart. Once We're Warriors. I don't even know how to describe this movie. It's heart-wrenching and incredible. But it's one of the first movies that I saw where it was representation of Maori culture and Maori characters. And it was the first time they ever heard the word haka. We have Ming Na who plays a Fennec. She's so badass at everything she does, and she is getting them Disney dollars right now. And I'm not talking about the kind you use at Disney World. She's getting it. We also got Jennifer Beals. I almost want to pull my sweater to the side of my shoulder. I just be like, what a feeling. Just doing that, which Flashdance, obviously, but more recently, you might know her from a really big show that was on Showtime called The L Word. The L Word, the Q generation, I think, is still going on now. So those are like the 3 of the characters that that really stick out to me. There are a plethora, obviously, of characters, but basically, this is the story of Boba Fett is taking over Jabba the Hutt's business's organization. This is basically, and I love this, is basically organized crime in the Star Wars universe.
Yes.
I saw this by accident. I didn't know that it was premiering on December 29th, the day before my birthday. I had no idea. And I just happened to turn on my PlayStation because I was going to play some Destiny 2. And I saw Boba Fett and I was like, wait, that didn't come out yet. I went, saw it. I said, I guess I know what I'm doing today. And I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I'm behind, unfortunately. I've only watched 2 episodes out of the 4 that are out. Brother, your take on it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No.
That's a word.
Yeah, that is a word. Yeah, the Book of Boba Fett is exactly what the Star Wars universe needs. You know what I mean? And that's not to say that the Mandalorian wasn't, but if you step back for a minute and you kind of look at the Mandalorian almost feels like an audition for, do people really want a Boba Fett series?
Yeah, it was kind of like testing the waters.
Yeah, like he reminds you of Boba Fett, the Mandalorian, although he's not as cutthroat as Boba is. But he doesn't take guff, and he will do what he needs to do to get his objective done, right? So the whole notion that you reintroduce Boba Fett to Star Wars audiences in The Mandalorian, I thought was a masterstroke of season 2.
Yeah.
Because season
And
2 puts all
think
the
about
chips in the middle of the table
yeah.
for the Mandalorian. And to get to the because let's face it, the Mandalorian season 2 ends on such a high note with that season finale.
Mm-hmm.
And then for you to kind of wait around after the credits and get this impromptu teaser that a Boba Fett show is coming, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what? I was like, this is insane. You know, because we've been waiting for years for news on a Boba Fett
Anything.
property at all, because they
Yeah.
had been talking about making a movie years ago. That never came to fruition. And then for them to finally kind of do a series, and for this guy to be like the driving force behind it,
This guy.
Robert Rodriguez, brilliant. Like, this is the kind of character that Robert Rodriguez works well with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a he's a mysterious figure
Mm-hmm.
who, again, does what he needs to do to get his things done. I mean, I could literally sit here and comp the Book of Boba Fett, even though it's Star Wars organized crime. I could comp it to one of Robert Rodriguez's other very popular films, Desperado.
Yeah.
Because that's what it kind of feels like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just so well done. Like, it's so great to see Temuera Morrison back in this role, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's even better for me because I've been rolling with Ming Na since ER, and and it's just so good to see her back in the Disney fold and back kind of playing the hell out of this character. It's just it's amazing. This show is really, really good. And again, this is what they finally figured out. They figured out this back to basics approach for Star Wars, because that's kind of what they needed to do. And again, I am a fan of that last trilogy. I know that there's some people who aren't, but if your complaint is that it got too big for its britches in that last trilogy, well, them dialing it all the way back and making it much more simpler has just also been kind of this masterstroke, of brilliance and making characters relevant again. And again, going back to much simpler times in television when, shows like The Mandalorian and shows like Boba Fett were like the event shows of the week,
Mm-hmm.
and there were people who you didn't think necessarily were either one Star Wars fans or even wanted to be associated with something like this. These people are clamoring to be on shows like this now. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I thoroughly impressed. Color me thoroughly impressed.
I love the terms that they use. Like, they make him like, they're not just using terms like mayor and stuff like that as far as titles, I should say. They use the term daimyo, which I love. Comes from a feudal Japan, I believe. Daimyo. I love that. I love the fact that when when Jabba's cousins, the twins, come, and she tells him, well, we can't kill them because it's almost like how you see in any like mob movie where they're like, you can't kill them because he's a made guy, you can't. And that was that same inference, and I like that. And I'm not too much a fan of mob movies now because they've been run into the ground, especially by one particular director who makes long ass movies. I finished one of his movies and I swear I was on life support. I had to pull my own plug. And you know what I mean? But this is it's cool to see this different take of it, because we never really see things like this. Like sometimes we see it in fantasy stuff, but we never really see it in like sci-fi too much. We really don't see it in Star Wars. The closest we got was maybe Han Solo. So this is a pretty cool thing to see. Yeah. That whole organized crime and how he's got to be there, and it almost reminds me of like when a character and their lieutenant, like someone is just promoted, they're new, and they're walking their territory, and their lieutenant, their capo, is walking them around with their consiglieres walking them around. Is like, they owe this, they owe that. This is them. You can't do this with them, and telling them about these different people in their territory, who they owe money to, who you shouldn't mess with, who it's okay, who's made, who's not. I love that, even those little moments of that being in there. The actor who plays not the mayor, but the mayor's assistant. Yeah. I'm trying to remember his name. He plays the swarmiest characters so well because he did the same thing in Veep, where he played Julia Louis-Dreyfus' ex-husband.
Yes.
It's the same actor. And he plays Swarmy so well. Yes. When I saw his face, I was like, okay, bet, yeah. And he was like, oh, excuse me, yeah, I apologize for the lack of pomp. But he was getting, I'm laughing at these scenes, and there's a lot. He's bringing this levity to it, but also don't trust him because he'll stab you in the back the first second he gets. And I love how in these two series, The Mandalorian and in this, they will slide a little bit of humor in there, just enough humor, but it's kind of dark humor. The guys who are carrying the twins, there's a wide shot of all of a sudden, like there's a conversation going on, and there's no prerequisites. They're just standing and they go, because you're thinking, oh shit, yeah, they're heavy as hell, and they're having this long ass conversation that took longer than 2 minutes. I'm like, yo, it's hot. You got you carrying this heavy weight on sand. You got these sticks that digging into your back. You ain't got no padding. Can we finish this conversation now?
Yes, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
And go, because it's similar to like, you know, how if it was in like an actual like more modern day or more Earth setting, I should say, because we have no idea what the hell year this even correlates to time on Earth. If it was on Earth, they would have pulled up in like, you know, a Rolls or limo, what have you. They would have had the conversation, and it would have been okay because in a car you're not carrying them. So you can have that conversation, but then you realize, yeah, this conversation going on kind of long. It's hot. Like, I ain't got no water. You know they don't care. And the way they were doing shade, even though you didn't know what they were saying, unless you know, sometimes at the bottom, you know what they're saying. But you could tell the one twin was throwing shade because she had a fan like, I want to. And I was dying. I was like, even if I didn't have the subtitles there, I know you just said something slick that you should not have said.
Right.
But you do it because you know that you're made. Yeah. Little things like that, little nuances. Again, yes, world building. Tell me a story. And leave those little breadcrumbs, those little details in there. Yeah. To show you. I do love, it is all, it is awesome.
And I think one of the other things I really, really like about what they've done in this show is, like you said, world building is, we never really got a sense of the Tusken Raiders as people in Star Wars.
Yes.
At all. We never really got a sense of what they were and how they did things and all that other stuff. It was just kind of like, they were almost kind of like these shallow two-dimensional characters that played off of Luke and whoever on Tatooine, right? So for them to kind of give them this depth in the way that they help Boba get back on his feet.
Yes.
After being in the Sarlacc pit all that time and surviving the Sarlacc pit. It's just brilliant. Like it's just so well done. Like, my God, I'm watching all of those scenes and all those scenes in that episode where, they're getting him accustomed to their ways and all this other stuff. I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is really smart. Like, this is really well done stuff.
But you know where you see those scenes all the time, man?
What?
Westerns. characters left for dead in the desert.
Exactly,
Who
brother.
comes to get them? The indigenous people of that,
Exactly,
of
brother.
that, and they'll teach them the ways, and then they teach them some mess and what have you. But it's usually some white dude that did something dumb and he dry up in the desert.
Right.
Boba,
Yeah.
it was, but you see that a lot in the westerns. Which, if you look at Mandalorian, it has a definite heavy feel of that loner western. So there's a little bit of that overlap, a little bit of that spillover from that, which is still great. But you're still getting that. This is where that was a western, and this is more like an organized crime drama kind of feel. So even like staying in that same universe, and one being a spinoff, you actually just give us a whole different genre that you're playing with.
Yes.
So imagine they have a dartboard up and it has western, medical drama, organized crime, like all the different genres you can have, and they just throw a dart and it's like, okay, so this one's for Boba Fett. So what are we gonna do? I don't know. So throw a dart. Boom, organized crime. Okay, what about this? And then to bring this character back, I think it was them testing waters, obviously, but also figure how are we going to bring this character back in a way, because let's be honest, everybody talks about Boba Fett for so many years, but there was nothing that could actually make concrete what they were saying. Everybody's like, yo, he's the best, he's better. My man lasted like a minute in that movie. Like what do you do? And this is not including books and comics and stuff like that, where he may have been doing some badass stuff. In the if you just saw the movies, you're like, first off, Luke didn't even kick that dude. He used the force. That was a force kick, because Luke didn't even touch that cat. And he jumped on them, stuff like that. So what do we do? But then you bring him back and you nurse him. Literally, you're nursing the character back to health, as well as the genre. You're nursing back Star Wars because it was gone. It came back, took a bit of a hit with the trilogy, where it was very it was very polarizing for people. Okay, you like it, you don't, whatever. I couldn't give a damn. And then to go, okay, so what are we going to do? What are we playing with now? All right, let's see what we can do with this. Oh, let's make him a crime lord with honor. Let's see what we can do with that. So it just makes me wonder with the series that they're going to do with the I'm trying to remember the Mandalorians. They're doing what was the name of that squad?
I
cannot remember for the life of me. You know what I'm talking about, though. Or
I do know what you're talking about.
Katie Sackhoff.
Yes.
Sasha Banks, the boss.
Yes.
Like that crew.
Yeah.
If you're going to have that be a series, what genre are you going to play with that? You can go straight, military black ops, but I know they're going to do something else with it. They're going to play with it some other way, which I'm excited to see how you can make that ring go, oh, you played with that and brought it in.
Yeah.
Okay, you infuse it similar to cooking. You have, okay, this is a pancake. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to fuse it with this and do this and truffles, and I'm going to do all this. Now I'm going to put a little struzzi on it. We're going to make it whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a cool thing to see someone, and to be excited, and for them to say, and to go, I got $1,000 that you can't make this into a Western. Okay, cool. And then like, oh, so that worked out. So here, check this out. Double or Nothing. I bet you can't do Boba Fett as organized crime. I bet. Cool. And I love that factor of that genre, playing with it and doing something different. I think it's one of the coolest things possible. So I'm excited. Actually, after this, I'm going to go back to watching it. I'm going to heat up my Beyond Burger and my baked beans. That will be my lunch. Barbecue sauce on that sucker. Hold the cheese. Hold the damn cheese. But just a little bit of that honey teriyaki on there with the barbecue sauce. Give me a little mayo. Got the potato rolls going. Got the Hawaiian potato rolls going. Party. Nice. Yeah, I'm excited about this. This, to me, if somebody said, oh, there's going to be a movie, I was like, yeah, I honestly couldn't give a shit. It doesn't. But this excites me. This excites me way more. And the fact that we haven't had a Jedi and still making this so relevant, so great, so much fun. And so there's this smaller arena that we're playing in, which was still a part of the bigger area. But it's great because the minute you see a Jedi, you start thinking, we're going to see Vader, we're going to see somebody, and it's going to ruin the story for you. Because sometimes when you go too big, it takes away from the details and the intimacy that you have. That's what I was afraid with. I didn't want this to be like the Marvel Netflix show, let's say, where they all culminate at the end to fight some big evil. I don't want that. I've seen that 1,000 times. That's what Marvel does. I don't need that with everything. They don't always need to band together. You can have these stories be separate and they're doing their own thing, but still intertwining.
All right.
I don't need all that. Sometimes smaller is better because you can be more intimate. You can tell better stories. You can get more detail. You can have that big stuff for the movies. You can throw all the damn lightsabers you want up on that piece. You can bring whoever back you want. But sometimes that intimacy is great because you need that base for anything. So yeah, hit this up. It's great. Go watch The Mandalorian if you haven't. First,
yeah.
2 seasons. They go by quick. You'll see where quote unquote Baby Yoda came from, and then you'll see this and you'll go, wow, this is great. Because it is a wonderful feeling, almost an exuberance, a bliss, a euphoric feeling. Well, speaking of euphoric feelings, have you seen that season 2 of Euphoria is back?
Yeah.
Ooh, damn. Ooh, got chills. This was one of the best series on HBO.
Yeah.
And this is A24 produced. And it is, I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Levin.
Sam Levinson.
Sam, thank you. Sam Levinson. Phenomenal, where we have this incredibly grown and graphic show of what these teenagers are up to, as well as some of their parents too. This show, to me, has broken ground, has broken barriers, has broken down storytelling, and the way things are shot, lighting. There's this definite love feeling. This show was so great that when COVID first came around and such like that, what they did with the series is at the end of the first season, COVID, just bust up in your house like LAPD, and they made these 2 specials to highlight 2 of the main characters, Rue, played by Zendaya, and then oh my god, I can't remember the other character's name. Are you serious? Jules, yes, Jules, played by Hunter Schafer. First off, Hunter Schafer, fucking phenomenal. Holy shit. When you watch the special behind that episode and how Hunter incorporated a lot of the process of transitioning into the story of Jules and seeing Jules transition and everything went through with the mother and how the father is there. And I love that switch of how everything you would normally see in other shows, it would be the father who would be mad, who would be angry, who would be, transphobic or LGBTQ phobic. It's the father who is there and who is understanding and wants to know what's going on and is protective, and not because the world's gonna hate, just because you're my child and I love you and I want you to be happy. I love that. But yeah, it highlighted each of the characters and their perspectives on that previous season. Jules' episode was so great, and Rue's was about addiction, and you see how Rue is addicted to not just drugs, but is addicted to this feeling or sense of love and grasping onto people and holding on to them, not wanting to let them go, and the addiction that Rue has to Jules, while she's speaking to her sponsor, exceptionally played by Coleman Domingo. This brother, So this season we pick up New Year's Eve. It's a big party at I'm trying to think of whose house it is.
You know what? I don't even know whose house it is.
Exactly. I'm not sure. I can't remember whose house it was. But we see all the characters returning, and you see how they're interacting for New Year's Eve. And this will be the first time that Rue and Jules have seen each other since the train station.
Yes.
And Jules leaving Rue. I gotta, and we see what's going on with Nate and Cassie, and Nate and Maddie are the worst couple possible, but yet the dysfunctionality works because I still say this. The actor who plays Nate, Jacob Elordi, could play Batman easily. He's got the look, he's got the vibe, and there's that episode in the first season where you see him switch on a dime from being this nice guy to being this Batman. He's got the bat and he's like, talk. I want you to talk. He has that intimidation factor. And even when you see him in this, in the second season, even when you see him, the way he's acting towards the girl and how he's thinking methodically in his head, he's thinking of all these different scenarios in his head, similar to how Batman would. I think he could body playing Batman Bruce Wayne. Even his father, Eric Dane, from that long ass show that's been going on for like 1,000 years, he could play like maybe a Ra's al Ghul type of like he could do something too, because he's very devious and unassuming in this show as well. Brother, your thoughts, because I could do this all day.
Yeah, Euphoria is that show, you know, and I think Euphoria is one of those rare shows on cable / network / streaming, whatever you want to call it, that has just beautiful like cinematic qualities to it. It feels like a movie, literally. Every week it feels like a movie. It does not feel like a TV show at all. And I mean, obviously a lot of that is about lighting, like my co-host just mentioned, and their choice in film. Like, I think for that very first episode, they were talking about how they went. If you watch the inside the episode that comes on after the episode, they were talking about they went to like Kodak and had them recreate like this old stock film for them to use in order for them to get the look of the first episode that they wanted to get. It's just like, I mean,
the first episode of the second season.
The first episode of the second season, yeah.
Okay, so that's what that was. All right,
yeah, they had Kodak like remake this film stock that I guess they don't make anymore, to just kind of like get that visual punch that you have there. In that episode, especially in the party, because that party episode, man, I mean, it's just the overall look of that first episode is just amazing. Like, what?
And it feels like a Polaroid. It actually not like, now that I'm thinking about something, it feels like it because of that. Yeah, it feels like a Polaroid. Like you're watching somebody's got a bunch of Polaroids of a party that happened. Yeah, and you're like, oh, there's that person, but you still don't know who the hell's house it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's the depth.
Yes. So, yeah, I think when we last spoke about the show, which was in last season, so if you want to go back and catch up on our episodes, feel free to do so.
We are available.
Yes. When we were talking about Euphoria last season, I brought up the comp that Euphoria to me feels like an old 90s movie called Kids by Larry Clark. And in some ways now, I think Euphoria has surpassed Kids for me.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just that it's like this window into how kids in this generation probably are acting or acting out, however you want to say. It's just so brilliantly written and so brilliantly done, right? Like, this could easily be a silly show with no gravitas or depth or anything.
Kiefer.
Or anything. But it has all of that in spades. Like, and it's the casting too. Like, the casting for this show is just magical. Like, and it does not, it doesn't have to be everybody has to be a star in this show, because you don't need that. Yeah. You just need people. If you want to have the one star who is the face of the show, that's Rue. Right. And that's played by Zendaya. And for obvious reasons, like, Zendaya has impressed me on a level that I haven't been impressed in a very long time by a young actress. Like, and I've seen her in her Disney stuff where she's good. You know, Casey Undercover is a frivolous show, but she's the reason to watch Casey Undercover, right? Because she has comic timing, and you can see the beginning of her talent in that show, right? Her acting talent. Here, she's literally just kind of kicked in the door and said, I'm here, and I'm going to be here for a very long time. Mm-hmm. So pay attention to me. Because even my co-host has said that when someone can command a scene by not even being in it and just voicing it, that's a talent that very few people have. You know what I mean? Yep. And she is just amazing in the show, but it's also just how she plays off of Hunter Schafer in this show. I mean,
not many people are talking about Hunter.
I would love to have seen the early screen test between these two.
Oh, yes.
Because they're like pitch perfect with each other.
The chemistry is ridiculous. It really is there. Yeah.
Yes. It's crazy. It's crazy. And I caught myself saying the other day, because you brought up Eric Dane, and I'm glad you did, because Eric Dane is a good actor. Mm-hmm. And he was good on that long-running show that no one cares about anymore. But I almost feel like Eric Dane kind of asked for a role like this.
Because it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. When you find out how he is, you're like, wait, what?
Yes. Because it's so different than what he's played on that long-running show.
Yes, exactly.
And
that scene, I was like, oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, this is another show that, again, season 2 hits the ground running like we never left. We've never been gone for almost a year, because that's about how long this show's been gone, except for those 2 very special episodes late last year.
Yeah.
Actually, not even late last year, early last year. Yeah. And I mean, even those 2 special episodes were enough. Like, those hour-long episodes were enough to fill the gap until we got another season.
Yeah.
Because those 2 special episodes to me are basically, it's funny, right? Like, they are basically in some ways the same episode, just two different, and I'm going to put this in air quotes for people who can't even see it while they're listening to us. Mm-hmm. They're 2 different therapy sessions. One is the traditional therapy session with Jules, while the other one is a therapy session amongst people who would know how it feels to be an addict. Mm-hmm. Just brilliant. Brilliantly done. Brilliantly done. You know what I mean? And man, like
they're both to steal a phrase. They're both two sides of the same. They're both two opposite sides of the same coin.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same episode in essence.
Yeah,
like you're saying, but one is they're both telling it from their own point of view.
mm-hmm.
And what's therapy to Jules? Actual therapy.
Yes.
What's therapy to Rue? The closest she's going to get is sitting in a diner with her sponsor,
Yes.
talking about her addiction, trying to work the steps, and also this incredible waitress who is actually a waitress, I want to say.
I think so.
Who was part of that scene and made such an impact on that episode. Yeah, that to see their two viewpoints and how they're both almost saying the same thing, but then you start seeing the show from Jules's perspective, and you're like, oh shit, wait. It's definitely it was so needed and so welcomed and so wonderful. And I think Schaefer co-wrote that episode, I want to say as well.
I think so, yeah.
Because the experience, you can't just look in a book and read that to get that experience, to get what it's like to transition to everything that Hunter has gone through. You need that. So yeah, it was just one of the most beautiful things, man. And here's the thing, this show quite possibly air quotes, quote unquote, shouldn't be for us. We are two middle-aged black men. So this show, if you were thinking about it, like when I first heard about it, I was like, yeah, I don't really feel like and for some reason I watched it and I was like, that first episode I was like, wait, what this show is something so deep and so rich, and there's some action which is out of nowhere. There's incredible drama that's there. There are even some cliffhangers, but not in the traditional sense of a cliffhanger. There are twists in essence to episodes like that you wouldn't expect it. There's dark humor, and they do a great thing where they can spotlight a character in an episode while still making an ensemble cast of an episode, but telling the backstory of that character. They do that in a wonderful way to let you know this is why the character is like the way they are, but this also adds to them. And taking these young actors who you were saying they didn't need to be stars, this is a star-making vehicle.
Oh, absolutely.
This is how you take young talent who everyone may not know. You give them incredible. When you give actors great material, they're going to give you great performances. If you give an actor shit material, they can be the best actor in the world, but it's still not going to be as good because you're giving them shit material. You have these young actors who are just great, absolutely, and each of them brings something so different and so to really fill it with all of it. They're each this different ingredient for this recipe that makes this incredible show. And then you get the writing and you get everything else that's involved in it, and it just works on such a grand and great level. This is a show that I say was written. Now I will say, if you are uncomfortable with the depiction of teenagers being sexually graphic and such like that, then I will say that the show may not be for you. If you know what I mean, if that's something that you cannot handle, the show may not be for you, because there are scenes where the actors are nude. The actors are over the age, I believe. I would say they would have to be. But it's not just gratuitous for no apparent. Well, some of the episodes, it does seem like it's for no apparent reason, but it plays a reason. You will see a lot of dick. I don't know how else to say that. You will see a lot of penis. There's one episode where it is, and I was like, wait, hold on, wait, move. I felt like I was going through a car wash, like walking through a car wash. Hold on, wait, stop. What's my safe word? Shoelaces. You got to stop. But there was a point to it being there, and the way it can hit you and play with your mind and such like that. It's just one of those shows where you watch the first episode, just watch. You know what? Even watch one of the specials. Watch that before you even watch the episodes, because those could have easily been the first two episodes of these seasons. And then you see where, like, you could have had Rue's episode, and then at the end of first season had Jules' episode to see that other side and go, oh,
to
see everything that happened in between and go, oh, because she filled in a lot of gaps. And you're like, oh shit, wait. And it was great to see the episode from Joel's point of view. I would this is that series I would say, look, you know what? Keep this on HBO Max by itself. I wouldn't even. Or the specials were HBO Max originals. Then they put them on HBO just for there, correct?
I think so.
Which is what you should do. So at the end of this season, and now I know that there were special circumstances because of COVID and such like that where they did it, but it worked masterfully. It was a perfect mistake.
Yeah.
Or a perfect way to take circumstances and go, let's do something different. What do you all think of this? And beautifully done. And even more atmospheric when you just have the two actors there. Obviously, because of COVID concerns, this is at the height of COVID. This is when it first started. It's a height. But then also intimacy, the acting, the connection, where there's nothing else. It's just these two giving you this master class. And just do it, run it.
Yeah.
They could do this for every season, and I would be like, this. I mean, you know what? I don't want to say that because then you end up running it into the ground quite possibly. As I said earlier, always leave us wanting more. Smartest thing you can do. And this show gives you enough that you go, oh, geez, when's the next season going to start?
Oh yeah, definitely.
When?
Definitely. I mean, so, part of the part of the geek in me hopes that Sam Levinson had actually saw Zendaya's inspired portrayal of MJ in this Spider-Man trilogy and said, I need her for this show. Because the way she plays MJ in Spider-Man is inspired. It's not very run-of-the-mill at all.
It's the opposite of what you would figure of what you would think MJ to be. That is my MJ. The other MJs, no, this MJ is my MJ. It's the MJ that I need, that I want in the comics. That's the MJ.
Yeah.
And I'm dying to see how she would have interacted with people like, so you're what? And like how she would have acted with the Avengers, like, because the way that she acted with Doctor Strange was like, there's a word that I know. Please. Yes. And thank you. So imagine her going up. Imagine her and Stark going back and forth.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? That would. But we may get that at some point stage in time because I'm sure, that may happen. But that was and that was a perfect trilogy. That was tied for a Cap's trilogy. No Cap. I see what yeah. The worst joke ever told. That was the worst dad joke told by a man who's not a dad. Because Maury said I was not.
Oh my god.
But yeah, folks, those are the shows that we are saying. Like last episode, we were saying, oh, we'll wait to talk about Euphoria. Then when we were having our little after show scrum virtually, we were like, so what are we going to talk about next? We were like, let's talk about The Witcher. Oh yes, Boba Fett. Oh yeah, all right. Euphoria. Yeah, all right. Yeah. I mean, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer because this show does so much, so right. And this cast is just phenomenal. From having a transgender lead character to having a character like what's her name? Kat?
Yeah, Kat.
Kat, who ends up becoming this like doing like an OnlyFans and finding her sex appeal, her hotness, and finding that confidence, to the character of Cassie and her boyfriend who's in college, to the character of Fezco, who you find out his history, in the first episode, and why he's at this convenience store and why he's selling drugs, and who's that little kid that seems to be like the heavy of the two of them. You know, you find this out, and we start getting more deep, and you find out more about Rue's mother and the possible connection that there might be with the mother and the sponsor since they've met now. And Maddie, who is just, I don't know what to say about Maddie. Maddie is this incredibly strong Latinx vibrant young woman who knows her confidence, who knows her power, who knows also how to bash somebody's face in if you're racist. She doesn't take shit. So you have all these different characters, and you even have Cassie's sister Lexi, who quite possibly is going to start a relationship with Fezco. You just have all these different things, and there's so much going on, and it blends wonderfully. And there's a lot of characters that are being added in now, but they each get enough time to tell their story, and to tell a story that you need to hear for that episode. All right, folks. So I think that was a nice mix. You got some action, you got some, fantasy horror, you got some organized crime with some dark undertones of comedy, and then you got Euphoria, which is drama, sometimes a thriller too, depending on what the scene is. You can get a little thriller action in there. Incredible dark comedy, slice of life for teens nowadays. I would think what happens in this is what is happening to teens nowadays. So without kids, there possibly would be no Euphoria. So it was that kind of stepping stone.
True.
Honestly. So on that note, folks, that's today's show. All right, brother. I already broke the scale, but I got a new one because I got them at Costco and in our bulk. Out of 10, sir, what would you give this episode? As I lean back and get ready
to go back to Costco and buy more scales.
Oh, that sounds like a win to me, so I know where I'm headed. Let me get my shoulders ready. All right, brother, go ahead. Hit me with the number.
13, brother. 13.
Damn, this is some.
It's some bullshit.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to go back to Costco. Let's see if I can have them delivered.
Oh my god!
Just a whole pallet of scales, brother.
Pallet.
Just be racking them. Just be racking my scales. They're like, this guy again.
This guy.
I think we're supposed to be getting a third season for Harley Quinn.
Yes, we are.
Which I will watch that first season again because it was the funniest thing ever. The second season was great too, but that first season, because it's your introduction and the humor and everything is so, and the way he's like, wait, this is Batman? Bruce? Where's my goddamn electric car, Bruce? That line will live in infamy for real. That and this fucking guy. Just so funny. You know what? Let's do an episode on Harley. On Harley Quinn. That means I get to go back and rewatch it. Oh dang! Because that was just so incredible. I think we may have actually done an episode where we talked about it, or we just were talking about it because it was really good. I think we may have went when we were talking about streaming services and stuff like that, and we were talking about HBO Max. Because it's just Alan
Tudyk.
Yeah, Tudyk, thank you. Just that dude, just whether it's he's doing a voiceover for something, like voice acting, or whether he's like live action acting. This dude, he kills, man. And he's so versatile. He can do I didn't realize, I totally forgot that he was on Justified as this hitman. Yeah, I just watched the episode. It was in season 5. I just watched the episode and I was like, oh snap! And he has like that underlying current of humor, but also menacing. And I was like, I remember seeing him this menacing before in a role, which makes me realize I need to go and watch Resident Alien, because the second season is going to be starting soon, and the second season looks ridiculously great. So I need to go back and watch. So I need to go watch that first season. I also need to go watch Chucky, because I watched some of the first episode and I was like, oh, this is good. Never went back. There's never enough time in the day to go watch everything. But I'm going to try and watch a few things tonight and see where we're at. And tomorrow also, since I have a day off. And go with that. So on that note, folks, look. Once again, thank you. We always enjoy being here with y'all and talking about the things and chopping it up. And we know we're not doing live shows right now because we do. And I do miss that interaction of people in the comments and popping up people who have different names on YouTube than they do in real life. And I'm putting the name. What's the name? What's that song? Come on, yeah. Never mind. So but we will at some point do some live shows. Just right now, again, life is just taking over, and it's going to take us where it needs to take us at this point. But we're still going to keep doing what we do and having fun doing it. All right. So, Michael, since you broke my damn scale again. And that was the last one that's on that palette, which is messed up. Do you have any last words, Shar?
COVID is still a thing.
Yes.
Mask up. Yes. Be careful.
Yes.
And try. I know it's hard, but try to be good to each other.
Yes. It can be difficult. Myself, look, do the best you can with what you got because it's all that you get. I know it's hard out there, and it's normally I'll have some joke about lotioning up and such. Yes, you all know lotion. Yes, wash your ass and lotion. Yes, obviously, moist wipes are your friend, fellas. Don't worry about get in there and get in between them. Please clean your ass. But just to be careful out there. It's a lot of stuff is going on. Life is just really weird, and if you have the opportunity to do something that's good for you and your family, and you can, and it's an upgrade from what you're doing now, don't feel ashamed. Don't feel like you need to stay at that other thing because you've been there for so long. It's okay to think of yourself and to think of the betterment of your family. So do it. Okay. And also make sure that it's enriching your soul because there's nothing worse. The day of being at a job for 50 years and being broken down and then getting that gold watch because you retired and then you spend the next however long time regretting the fact that you spent 40 years doing something that you hated. Don't do it, folks. Please don't. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. We're finding out with virtual things that we can do so many things that we never thought that we were able to do. And we're having a great time doing it. I'm on that journey myself. You know, I've set goals for myself for 2022. One of them in a few weeks is going to become an actual accomplishment of mine, which I am just glad to see happen. So this is the year where I start sending people invoices for things. This is the year of invoices so I get paid. This is the year where I start where I stop carrying people in my life who have not held up their end of the deal, their end of the bargain. I've walked away from a few people in last year. I was like, yeah, I'm good. Just walked away. Didn't delete, didn't do anything like that because I just didn't have the energy. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good, bet. I'm good. Done. So yeah, do what you can for yourself. Enrich your soul. Get paid doing it. Whatever it is, I applaud you. I'm here for you. Get the money. Get that good feeling back. Okay. So on that note, folks, enjoy the rest of your day. Eat something tasty, and remember, shoe dollars are like less than $4. Like a pair less than $4. That's crazy. I bought like extra shoelaces for no apparent reason because they're less than $4.
Yeah,
that seems weird thing to end the show on, but that's such a cool thing. So you know what? Go buy yourself your shoelaces. Go buy new shoelaces. Enjoy yourself, folks, and just watch. Shoulder work. It's get me, baby. It's get me. Yeah, baby. Yeah. All right, have a good one. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
You get the shoulder action. That's coming. Oh shit.
You get